Birds and Bonesy in the morning.
Good morning, Bones.
Good morning, birds.
Look at us. We're up bright and early. 9:30 on a Sunday morning, like responsible adults. We're recording a podcast.
Oh, yes, we are. I've had 3 cups of coffee, and I'm ready to talk about the Crucible.
Oh, well, I'm just feeling great, too. Thank you for asking. Let's go into the show.
Let's do it.
Guys, it's lunchtime.
Fucking time difference. Think you're better than me. Time difference worked out the...
Are those Doritos?
Need another cup of coffee. Hello, Bones. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Swain. Wakey, wakey.
It is a good morning. Good morning, guys. It's technically afternoon. Birds, how are you?
Shut up. You're
this
ruining
morning?
the bit.
You drink coffee yet?
I have had my 1 cup of coffee. I was thinking about making another. Swain, this is the one time your East Coast time difference actually works out in your favor instead of meaning you're recording a podcast at 1 in the morning.
I mean, I'm already up for those things anyway, so... Yeah.
You've just conquered sleep. You no longer need it.
Nope.
I gotta get my 11 hours. Yeah, Swainbot. Just turn that dial down a little bit. Guys, how we doing? How is this week in Destiny come around?
You don't know what? It's Crimson Doubles week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Me and my date had some fun.
Yeah.
Bonesy here.
Yeah.
Now, are you staying monogamous?
Yes. We finished the 7 bounties, and I stopped playing because I miss Bones.
Yeah.
I've
been busy this week, so I only have time for Swain.
Finally, Bones is the busy one. Well, I am being a promiscuous Crimson Doubles tramp because I don't ever like playing more than 3 matches with a person, but I love playing 3 matches with a person.
You slut.
It's usually when I know it's not going to work out. Just the 1, 2, 3 Crimson Doubles waltz of first date, second date, third date. Oh, this isn't going to work out, but I really appreciate the time we spent together, guys. Dude. Anyways, yeah, it's been fun. I really like Crimson Doubles. I like doubles in general, but the Crimson Doubles is, it's intense, but I like it.
Well, since this is Crucible Radio, the podcast for all things Destiny PvP, let's talk about the actual competitive aspect of Crimson Doubles. You know, we can talk about ghost shells later. But what did we think of the Broken Heart buff and the elimination style?
I like how it's elimination style, but it doesn't have a trials ticket on the line, you know? Like
That is nice.
I feel like if you lose a trials match, you're like, all right, we got 1 more loss before everything is ruined and we have to start over. And here you can just lose and you go, I still tick down my bounties a bit. It was still fun. I mean, the 2s are so chaotic and some of the matches get so sweaty that it's not a huge deal if it happens to not go your way in the last couple seconds.
I know people are pretty riled up about the sweatiness of those matches, but I couldn't imagine if it actually had a ticket on the line. So that was kind of nice. I actually got in the zone of thinking there was some sort of ticket happening after the first game, and I'm like, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's just elimination.
I will say that it kind of magnifies the way things play out in those situations because everything gets quicker when you get the Broken Heart buff and certain subclasses become a little bit stronger. It makes it more apparent. Like you could run the double lock and everybody gets upset about it. But if you want, just use Warlocks. I was doing just fine with the Titan.
Yeah. Hunters still jump around and shoot stuff. So it was working out okay for me.
The Sun Charge puts down a Sunsinger just the same.
I actually got, and granted, it's doubles, and it's Crimson Doubles no less, but definitely a big weak spot for me. I got my first Last Guardian standing this Crimson Doubles.
Ooh.
It felt great. I thought, okay, there's only 2 of them. Statistically, the odds are much better. I can do this. What would Bones do? He would say, okay, fall back, funnel them in, get some special, pull out your sniper. And it was like in the second round, I hadn't gotten my special yet. So I tagged one guy, but didn't want to challenge, fell back, got my sniper ammo, turned around, set up, got the headshot, pushed out, and then did the sniper body shot finish. And I did the steps. Like, it's really hard to practice that last guardian standing thing unless you're really going to do the real deal, super outnumbered, waiting to get team shot. And I think that was my favorite aspect of Crimson Doubles, is that it just, like, by the norm, sort of sets up these 1v2 situations where you can kind of keep up and you have a chance with it. So yeah, cross that off the list.
I will say that it's nice to have the doubles elimination around. Yeah. I'm gonna miss it when it goes away. Maybe that's something they'll think about putting in the playlist. But it was fun having one less in that trials situation where it's elimination. I like playing doubles no matter what, because doubles is just fun, and getting away from just skirmish salvage doubles was a good mix up this week.
Yeah, I think it's a great practice for trials. I mean, when it comes down to it, you get the same elements of elimination, but with 2 less players, so you get to focus a little bit more, and it makes communication easier to practice because there's only one person in your headset. It makes coordination easier to practice when just 2 of you need to move around. You need to keep it. It's very important to know exactly where your teammate is, where in trials you can know the relative area. You can say, okay, he's on C flag somewhere over there. It's fine. But in doubles, you kind of got to have that eyes in the back of your head kind of thing at all times, because if you're too far away, then everything's lost. But I thought it was good just to sort of slow it down and get little elements of trials, like Birds, you said, the last guardian standing, how to funnel them down and make one-on-one encounters. That's a little easier when there's only 2 of them, obviously. You're not so worried about the flank. So I thought it was good practice, and I think a lot of people should look at it as such. If you're having trouble with trials, play some doubles elimination, and obviously don't get too used to the broken heart buff, but just think about your positioning and what you're doing with your teammate.
It's a great place to work on your call-outs, your Lupo style call-outs, because once you're down, you are the only one, and that gets a little bit better because you don't have 2 people in your ear, kind of like with alternate views of that's top catwalk, or no, that's top walk across thingy. So it's a little bit clearer with just one person feeding you information. So take the time to work on your call-outs, guys.
Yeah, Bones, that aspect of making call-outs, sort of describing where you're positioned and where your teammate is positioned and where they're located, I feel like that really focused on a specific aspect of what you need for trials, which is you need to be positioned in such a way that if you happen to be the one who makes contact first when you sort of meet at the middle of the map, that you're not crazy pushed ahead so the other person has no chance of reviving you. You're willing to sort of make a stand or fall back while your partner gets in position. And you can't just totally float off and just say, you're going to go far left, I'm going to go far right, because unless you sort of perfectly collapse on them at the same time, somebody's going to get team shot, somebody's going to get outnumbered. I had an interesting challenge this week of trying to play doubles while my voice was out and not doing call outs or doing minimal call outs. But even just looking at the radar and just sort of watching your teammates blip move around on the radar, combining that with your knowledge of the map and moving accordingly, it really focuses on something that is easier to lose sight of in trials, where you just say, oh, I'm going to be the flank in trials, and so I'm going to sprint as far away from my teammates as I can to sort of get in position. That doesn't really fly in Crimson Doubles. There's one other thing about Crimson Doubles I've really loved, and that is the map rotation. They really put some thought into what makes a good doubles map. I get a little sick of playing Exodus Blue 3 times in a doubles session. But aside from that, all of the maps that came up in the playlist were ones that were really well suited to doubles, that I was always happy to see the next map come up for the most part.
Yeah. Cauldron, baby. Cauldron cast. I'm getting new material for my second podcast coming out soon. Right? Podcast for all things Cauldron the map.
You're set for the first 15 minutes of that episode.
Wait until that Cauldron rolls around for trials again.
Yes. Well, speaking of trials, what did we think of Rusted Lands this weekend?
So, Bones, you've said before that Rusted Lands is your favorite map.
Yes, I have.
Give me some advice for this one. This one, I feel like I do pretty well on until I make a stupid mistake of walking into one of the many sniper lanes on this map instead of sort of hopping my way behind cover real quick. If you're team captain for Rusted Lands, what should you be focusing on? Where do you stay out of?
Well, I think it should be more obvious than it is, but those lanes from beach to water tower are just always a mess, and you can pull off a couple good picks and sometimes outposition yourself, but it's always just a coin toss. And I found myself flanking quite a bit. I actually got to do a ticket with new friend, the Drums Beast. We had actually played this guy and his team last weekend with me, Swain, and Bear from PlanetDestiny. And we played them twice in a ticket because we got matched up with them.
They were so good. Those matches were so good.
We ended up pulling out 2 victories, but it was 5-4 both games. And it was just like the most intense, fun Trials games I've ever played. And it came down to the wire every time. So we ended up saying some GGs and added each other. And then I played with 2 of those guys. And I was amazed at how easy it was to flank. Because a lot of people just thought, you know what, B is kind of confusing. I think it's a long flank. People don't realize how far you actually have to run, so they're kind of shy away from it. It's not like you just cut through the middle like on Burning Shrine. You actually have to go pretty far, but people get so caught up hard scoping from the beach or from water tower that you can just go to each side from either base. It works really, really well from either spawn and just pick them off while they're hard scoping that doorway. Another strategy I really like is pushing up through C, because that C broken building has some good cover. You can really fight towards the beach, and if they get really situated in their spawn, sure, they might be able to watch that gate and they might be able to see the water tower from the truck, but it becomes a whole different thing when they've got someone right up close kind of peeking out with primary or getting some sniper lanes from the side. It's just a fun map, and if you avoid that one gate that everyone wants to snipe through, it makes for really interesting gameplay.
It's a pretty decent, like a dynamic map because it's got all sorts of levels and hideaways and sneaky ways to get to someone. I love this map.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate good symmetrical arenas. You know what I mean? Like, I get Pantheon, why it's so competitive, why that works, and why that's good for a lot of game modes, but I just love Rusted Lands because of the asymmetricality, the different angles, the way you're never shooting each other the same way. And yeah, there's spots just like on every map, but they're always so fun and interesting. And I was actually putting this guy on tilt, but he was doing the technique where you push up through C, and they totally got us. All 3 of them pushed real hard. We were like, all right, let's see if they snipe, blah, blah, blah. And they just blindsided us from the left, right in our faces. So the second time, I just jumped up right to C and got him out of his blink with a snipe. And then I waved, and then it was just all downhill from there. And I put a target on my own back. But it was just fun to try to do that and try to like, okay, this is now a guessing game. This isn't who can snipe the best. It's like who can position. And yeah, exactly. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some games in this weekend, probably tonight. I'm jonesing.
Stupid real life.
Well, this week we also really got to explore what it looks like in the threes playlist when special ammo doesn't spawn until partway through the match. How did you guys find that was affecting the gameplay, affecting strategy for you?
I mean, Bones just uses icebreaker anyway, so
I said it before on the last week's episode. I've been using icebreaker long before I heard about this patch, and I'm not some tryhard, even though it works.
Well, icebreaker is a fun gun. I mean, I think I learned very quickly, especially playing Crimson Doubles, that there was a temptation to say, okay, well, nobody could possibly have any special ammo yet, so let's play just in a really aggressive primary game and sort of just like running out the door on Frontier, and you just hear the splat, and you go,
Oh.
yes, some people have special, which is fine. I mean, I've got my grenade, I've got my primary. I can still set up the right push. I can still do the push the way I want to do it. But you can never not be aware of those sniper lanes. And they probably have a couple bullets or so. And so if you can really get in close and sort of manage that icebreaker timer right, you can really take it back down to a primary game, or you can play slow and pick up the crate.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time this week playing with The Last Word. I haven't played with it in a while. And I was doing that specifically because I want to be aggressive still. And I made the conscious decision to move in quick and like attack them that way. And The Last Word's pretty darn good for that.
It's a nuanced weapon now. It's still very powerful, but it's not just like hold trigger, point in general direction.
Yeah.
That's been the tough habit to break for me, is I just want to use that hip fire. But even with soft ballistics, you really need to tap it now. I grudgingly, I don't know, everyone on Slack who is yelling out at me that you need to tap it now. It's like, all right, fine, you're right. Like, lime, whatever, fine, enjoy it. I will say that there's an aspect of the special ammo that I really like, which is that when those first crates show up, that a really good team can pick up 3 of them, or potentially all 4 of them if you can get a wipe at the right time. But immediately you sort of get into this special ammo economy kind of thinking. Do you really want to shut them down? I mean, okay, if you're going up entirely against icebreakers and invectives, maybe that's not an issue. But it's something you see, and it's something, you sort of play accordingly when you see it. But I still saw a ton of 1,000-yard stares, ton of still piercers, ton of shotguns. And I enjoyed saying, all right, we've got 5 seconds. You take this one, I'll take this one. We're both going to sprint to here, and then we're going to set up and grab this one. It was, I enjoy having that level of sort of strategy on top of the sort of standard 3v3 mentality.
Yeah, I think the reaction to special ammo manipulation was a little overblown initially. I think everyone was kind of panicked about Icebreaker, like, nerf it, don't make it generate ammo in PvP. I didn't really think it was such a big deal. I mean, there was a couple times where I should have just adjusted and got sniped, where I'm like, I knew that. I knew he was using Icebreaker. You just got to stay out of those lanes for 30 seconds. But I think Trials does a good job of making that kind of pointless, because after a round, it won't matter, and anyone can adjust to that. So I had a couple teams that they equipped Icebreaker. They got a shot on my teammate early on, and I was like, I don't want to do that. But then they won the first round. I switched to Icebreaker. I just wait 21 seconds or whatever, get a couple rounds, switch to my sniper, and I'm like, okay, cool. We're back to even ground. What was that for? Like, why did we waste our time doing that? Let's just play.
Even at that, it's like they put themselves at a disadvantage by just putting their late level that low. So take that opportunity to take them out in the first round and, call it a day.
Yeah.
Yep. Remember, Icebreaker can't res snipe, so play accordingly.
And skirmish is a different story because of the flow of the game. You're not just having that nice pause after a round, but it still was less of an issue. I understand why, this upcoming tournament with Far Cognitions, the special ammo generating weapons have been banned, and that's disappointing because I loved Icebreaker, but I see why it's just out of the way. We don't have to worry about it. But I don't know if that was as necessary as everyone kind of made it act like it should be.
Yeah. I will admit that, like, if it got tough at some points in certain games, like where I just was not able to grab a special ammo box before I got killed, or I would just switch to a sidearm real quick, because I've used sidearms a little bit. I'm familiar with them, so I would switch to sidearm, and then if I got killed again, I'm like, all right, well, time to switch back to a sniper. If they're gonna do it, I'm do it. Adapting.
Yeah. So, thinking about these special ammo changes, how did special ammo changes in threes mode come into play when we played threes mode of the first round of the Crucible Radio Skirmish League? Professional podcasting.
Look at that.
Beautiful
that transition.
Like we said, folks, this is an organic show. We just do what comes to our heads. This is all
Right.
off the
We
dome.
never try and shoehorn in unnecessary and pained transitions. No, we got a Crucible Radio Skirmish League happening now, and it is a blast. I'm kind of impressed at the level of detail of what's been put together. But we played our first round. We played against a very solid team of XTN12, Badgers OP, and Capgas. And played some classic 3v3. Well, really just skirmish on salvage maps from time to time. And played our first 5-round, our first 5-game set of the league.
Yeah, I love being able to do this and having every week we're going to have a schedule of doing this. Be like, all right, well, a different team each week gives us practice for scrims, and it doesn't mean maybe this week I'll want to do some scrimmages. Nope, gotta do them. Part of the league.
Yeah, it's really nice to have a set schedule. It's really nice to know that you've got to work with, you've got to have your 3 together, but you don't necessarily have to identify a whole 6 people to play some scrims every time you want to sort of explore that competitive side of it. And I had a lot of fun. Really good games this week.
But what did we learn?
Oh, so much. I mean, I learned yet another reminder that you don't need to have the best gun skill in the world when you're playing a scrim. It's positioning. And I've been thinking a lot sort of about just sort of what the core mechanic of positioning in Sweaties is. Just something I can sort of do on autopilot when I'm playing solo queued skirmish or something. And I think you can get super aggro, but if you just want to contribute to your team in a good way, and you know where your team is, you're moving as a unit, you're sort of communicating well, the formula is pretty simple. It's move up until you reach sort of the line of combat, and then very, very safely consider engaging, take some shots, maybe see if they walk into your sniper area, and engage at that point. And if you realize they're sniping back and you've already peeked or you're at a disadvantage, then you flank and you go to the left or to the right to the next place that you can look and put pressure on them from that side. And then you repeat. Let your teammate move up. Like if you've ever seen the special forces cracking into a building, they just all go to the door and line up. And then somebody flanks around and then they go to the next spot and they go to the next spot. And of course, there's going to be moments where you're out in the open and you're engaging and it's hyper and you got to do what you got to do. But as a sort of basic formula of move up, move around, move up, move around, that's sort of the bare standard for positioning as a group of 3 people just to dominate the map.
One of the more important skills to learn when you are playing at a competitive level is to turn off the auto respawn button in your brain, which is, oh, I'm dead. I better get back in there. I got to help my team. Got to get those kills. Got to get on the scoreboard. That is just the death of any scrimmage. And it doesn't happen anymore frequently, to us. We've been practicing a bit, but it's so easy to let it subconsciously slip in there, especially if the game is close. So you might think well, it's literally 100-point different right now. What am I doing dead? This is a waste of time. Or you might be alive and think well, I got to make a play. What am I doing? But your 2 teammates are dead. And if you get split up, if you try to take on a team that's at full strength and you don't know where your teammates are, or you're not really waiting for them to help you and flank and team shot, I mean, it's just, you're done.
I will say this about our teamwork. We need a little bit of work on all those things. We would find ourselves separated sometimes, and we kind of just jumped into the scrims. We didn't warm up that much. We found ourselves separated, and we weren't calling out as much, and when that happened, it kind of got it would get back to being close again, and it'd be oh, all right, well, let's focus up here, guys, when we should have just been doing that from the start.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that regroup in particular, sort of near the end of the set, we were getting a little comfortable and we were sort of having a bit more fun, and that's fine. But you also have to say, okay, well, it just split spawned me way over at the other side. Those two guys are over there, and one of them's weak. Okay, we're going to keep losing engagements until we can get back together as a group of three, sort of working the map in the way we want. And so just really being able to have that high priority regroup is an important thing. The other aspect of being regrouped, Bones, like you say, like you want to get on the scoreboard because you just died and gave the other team 100 points. Well, getting 50 points back by being revived is a great way to get on the scoreboard. So take advantage of it.
And that was the game decider in some of those tournament games from the last tournaments. I remember watching one, I forget which teams, but it was so hype. They got 50 points off a res and won the game. In like the last 10 seconds of the match, it was nuts. And it's just like, you got to be paying attention to that stuff at all times.
Yeah, I would say our best game that we held down our spawn and used our position was Blind Watch. I mean, it might not be the best threes map, but we held down that upper area and we didn't let them cross the threshold. And when they did, we cleared them out, sat back in went all the way back to our spawn, make sure spawns didn't flip. We were pretty on point with that one.
Now, to be fair, we were playing Salvage, which is not as broken spawned as Skirmish on Blind Watch. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of map where there's clearly such a dominant position that it makes sense to play the setup there. And we've all got sort of like Bones, like you've said in the past, we've all sort of got rubber bands on us. We've all got bungee cords that pull us back to that top patio. No matter how far you range, you can go all the way to Cubby, you can go to the sliding doors, you can go to the hallway underneath. But you have to always be ready to sort of go back to that center dominant position, maybe the rings, and prevent the other team from getting you guys outnumbered and sort of grouped together up there.
Yeah, and I always use that for when I'm sniping is that bungee cord effect, because I want to get the snipe from this lane, and if I see that they're sniping there and I miss my shot, I'll immediately back off and find another spot in that bungee cord area in order to snipe from, because I know I'm not going to challenge another sniper. And that's something just think about when you're trying to learn how to snipe. Backing off. Can't always win them all.
What?
Well,
I want
some
to.
people can win them all.
Oh yeah,
I give you every chance for that, but yeah, some of us got to play a little bit smarter. Some of us have got to be smart guys instead of dumb brave guys or whatever.
Yeah, big shout out to XTN12. Badger is OP and Cap Gas. GGs.
Badger is OP. You just had my number with the snipes and the trip mines for this last. You just kept putting them under my feet. So annoying.
We'd make a play and I'd look back to the right and just see a trip mine fly and just land at Bird's feet. Him look down.
Yeah, just pinwheeling off to the side.
Pinwheel.
Just cartwheel. Yeah.
Get it together over there.
Yeah.
No, those guys are great. I'm sure we'll have plenty of these updates for you guys as we make our way through the league matches.
Yeah, it's pretty
every
sick.
Week in and week out.
16 teams. We've got divisions. We've got conference games. Then there's going to be some playoffs. I'm pretty stoked for it.
This is like a proper competitive league bracket with conference. I don't even know. I don't even know from this stuff, but this sounds super legit. Okay, so there's two call outs I want to try and work on for next time around. And I think I've got the first one down, but I need a little bit of input on the second one. The first one is saying, I'm weak. And there's two things to keep in mind. The one that I have to say is I'm hurt pretty bad. I gotta fall back for a little bit, guys. Cause yeah, that does convey the same thing, but it is not one word like I'm weak is. But what I'm weak also means is, hey, don't push yet. I need a second. Granted, I'm running max recovery, so it's not going to be much more than a second or two, but don't start to do whatever it is you're going to do. So I really want to work on that one for myself, at least, saying, hey, I'm weak. And providing that information to sort of the team strategizing.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to do is, we talked last week about the tragedy of wasting a grenade. And I want to find a way to say okay, well, we're about to do a push. Who's got a grenade? And sort of by inference, what type of grenade is it? How are we going to use it to do the push to see if we can tag 2 or maybe tag all 3 of them? And are we going into this one prepared? I know there's times where I threw my grenade in the last encounter, and I'm sort of relying on somebody else to put the, maybe a nice bolt grenade or an incendiary grenade going into the next push to give us a little bit of an advantage. But I don't know what the call out is to communicate who's got a grenade. I've got a grenade. I'm throwing my grenade. A lot of times you just do it automatically. But I feel like there's room for us to improve in our sort of grenade call out communication.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Absolutely.
One thing I took away from harking back to our scrimmages with Asteroid was making sure everyone had their health. You kind of touched on it a little bit, Birds.
Oh,
but
yeah.
He would always be like, all right, fall back, get your health, we'll move back in. And that call out was key in those matchups. Like he was really I would find myself at times like, oh crap, yeah, I do need the fallback. So that in general is something I know I need to work on.
Well, I mean, I've switched to Stormcaller for sweats, so just consider me empty of grenade at all times. I just throw the storm one in a hallway. Say, don't go there. Just stay away.
Yeah, it's more of a kind request or suggestion than a.
I think that goes well, Birds, with what you were saying is it really all depends on the type of grenade, because some people don't have, like, some grenades are situational. Like trip mines, that's like, all right, that's not like a push grenade. That's like this hallway is off limits grenade.
Yep.
Whereas like if we had our firebolt or the incendiary, it's like, all right, well, this is the throw it in that hallway, and if it hits all of them, we push now grenade.
Can I just say about the incendiary grenade, because I love playing Gunslinger and I generally use trip mine grenades because they're hilarious. But over the past month or so, I've really adopted the incendiary grenade, and I have to say one of my favorite uses for it. It works very well as a push grenade. If you can push properly, you can angle it and you can time it right. But I have to say, I prefer it as a defensive grenade where you're getting pushed on, because you can just see that radar incoming. You know that there's 2 people who are getting close, and I can jump up so I can sort of get out of the way. And right as I'm sort of leaving line of sight, I'll throw my grenade there and put it right under their feet. You have to sort of factor in the timing with the incendiary grenade. But what that means is that I'm going to land back on the ground, and I know that 2 people are burning and at half health. And that's been one of the most effective uses for it. I think, Swain, you and I, we just have to coordinate, because we've both got incendiary grenades in all likelihood, Gunslinger and Sunbreaker. I know there was a couple times where we've got the same instincts. We'll just like both put our grenades on top of each other at someone's feet, which is fun, but there's probably a more efficient use of them.
Exactly. Yeah. Bullets are cheaper than grenades.
They certainly are.
So we got a roadmap, guys.
To what?
A roadmap to the future.
Oh.
Come along with me to the future.
The future.
So Bungie laid down their roadmap for what they're going to be doing in the future to make a lot of people happy. I mean, a lot of people happy this week, including myself. What do they got, guys? What is it? What are we looking forward to?
A 320 Ghost.
Ooh.
Yeah. So hey, all those people who are suiciding off of the side of the wall in Crimson Doubles,
Ooh.
Shame
Shame
on you.
Have some self-respect.
Shame on you. No chocolatey goodness for you. But hey, Bungie also confirmed kind of what we were expecting, that we're going to get some other big-sized expansion, and then we're going to get our full-on Destiny sequel sometime in 2017. I like a nice vague release date that's at least a year in the future.
Just like that whole year. What could that mean?
Oh, well, I know, Bones, you're like, when does spring end? When could they possibly release the spring update? It's
they
June.
have like till June 22nd.
Spring ends in June.
That's so long from now.
Hopefully it comes out sooner, the spring thing, and then another expansion later in the year. Let's hope it's a good one. Like Taken King was great.
It seems like this spring update is not going to be not going to be something you pay for. It looks like it's going to focus on the PvE side, which hey, I get it. You know, we had Sparrow Racing League, we had Crimson Doubles, all these fun new modes for PvP players. So the PvEs get some new experience, and I'm definitely not a PvE except for maybe.
I've been forced to do strikes the past week to get my future work cult exotic.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing with my Dead Orbit exotic. Like,
and I'm having the worst. Like, I keep getting like kicked out of a strike, or someone like is coming to my house, and I'm like, I could fit a strike in, and I can't, so I leave with like when we're right at the end. It's a struggle.
The strike challenge for me, and I know this is the podcast for all things PvP, but the strike challenge for me is like, what multiplier of kills can I get over my teammates? Like, if I can get more than both of my teammates combined times 2 in terms of headshot kills, that's I feel like it's not a total waste. It's something I'm practicing. I get my 3 of coins, you know.
Use it as the firing range that you everybody wants.
Yeah, let's go practice.
That's PvE, guys.
Yep, enough of that. But hey, this content release is going to see some new light level stuff, so I'll finally stop being forever 298 because I refuse to play the raid under any circumstances. But we got a bunch of new gear to earn and equip. I will admit I like gear.
Is there going to be something that takes us higher than 320 that's not through the raid?
Well, maybe.
I
you touched on it, Birds. I want new gear. It's been a while, and I want
Yes, man.
I would love for the tower to have a new sniper that I can love, or a new shotgun, or new armor set. That would be pretty sweet.
Oh, I'm trying to put together a discipline strength set for Night Stalker right now, and I have to say, the tower vendors have got a pretty garbage selection of discipline strength. So even if they just reset the rolls on what gear they have, oh god, just tilt it the other way. I got my intellect discipline. I'm good. Okay, give me some choices.
It's too much.
It's too much. Everything's got like fusion and sidearm ammo on it. Like,
I'm ready to just get a different sniper. Like, I love my 1,000 yards. I got a few of them. Obviously, I've been using them, but I've been using them every day. Just give me something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about something blue? Let's get like some blue guns, That'd be fun.
How about like
pink? I want a pink gun.
But not pink like her benevolence.
Yeah.
Yeah, like pink like Miami Vice.
I want no.
Teal. I want a teal gun. It's like that's still below though.
Yes.
Yes.
I bet we might see some. What am I doing? Just speculating.
Onward.
Yeah, speculating.
To
What
the
else can we
future.
do? All right. Well, Lars Bakken popped in and said, "Hey, matchmaking, it's complicated, and we're thinking about it, and we're trying lots of new stuff, and stay tuned." And I think that's probably a realistic approach to take. I can't honestly tell which playlists are skill-based matchmaking and which are connection-based matchmaking. As I've sort of bragged before, I live in a good connection place, and I've never had much of an issue with it anyways. But I can say that the Crimson Doubles matchups have been pretty roundly fun and a nice variety of skilled opponents to go up against.
You 1%er.
Yeah, my 1% internet in a major metropolitan area. What? I got it all.
Shame.
This week, Crucible Radio bragged about their wealth.
Their wealth and their relative location. The best.
But hey, it didn't happen this week, but it's happening in the future, and that's cool. We got stuff to look forward to. We're getting that much closer to actually hearing some dates.
Soccer's getting an update, guys.
Soccer.
My soccer. People who on the internet who want to explain to me how soccer is not like Destiny. I understand soccer is not the same as Destiny. But I was drawing a metaphor for allegorical purposes. I was trying to make a comparison. But please continue. Just tweet at me. Just explain to me how soccer is not like Destiny.
Dude, Birds, all you had to do was preface the idea by saying, this is how I look at it differently from other. Oh, wait, you did that. Sorry.
What's next, guys?
What's
Kind of
next?
got off the rails.
Yeah, let's just call this one. I think we've got ourselves a decent show. We've identified we have a tendency to fall the fuck apart and go off the rails, lest we
And
be
just
careful.
start insulting our listeners.
So let's go have some matchups. Let's go have some matchups in the last days of Crimson Doubles. Let's play some trials. Let's yell at people on Twitter for being 7 years old. Let's go have some good fights in the Destiny world. Be savages.
I am down for that.
Let's do it. Music this week comes from Dame Zumari. They're a fresh band straight out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been loving all the music suggestions we've gotten over the past couple weeks. Keep them coming. We're going to try and fit them all on the show, and looking forward to hearing them.
Hey, if you're still trying to get into the Slack, we hear you. We see your email. We are working on it. We have hit a serious capacity, and it requires a few waves of invites, but we will get to you. Just be patient and look forward to it. Check your emails.
Yes, please check your emails and report any problems to me, Swingstash. As always, you can find us on the space internet at Crucible Radio, Bungie, Twitter, Facebook, all those places. Crucible Radio. Thanks for listening, guys.
See ya.